lot of heroes have inhabited the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So it really felt like it was time to find a way to do something different, to see an action scene in a totally different perspective, from a totally different point of view. And of course, that's why you make Ant-Man now, because Ant-Man shrinks, because through the power of the Pym particles that Michael Douglas's character Hank Pym invented, he is able to shrink down to a... And suddenly, any location, the inside of a briefcase, the inside of the playset in a little girl's bedroom, becomes an epic setting for an action battle, unlike any action movie we've ever made before, ever seen before. And what's exciting is there hasn't been a film in which characters shrink for many, many years. So the last time audiences have seen something like this, technology was very, very different. What we can do today is almost anything that we can imagine. Well, you know, one of the things that's so fun about working on Marvel films is you get to adapt the costumes from the comic books. And we've been doing it for many years now. And if you look at the way Iron Man looked in the early comics versus what he looks like now in the movies, or even the Hulk or Captain America or the details of his shield, we always want to take and respect the iconography from the comics because they're great, because the artistry that led to the creation of those comics is magnificent. But we need to always alter them a little bit to bring them into the real world, to bring them into the modern day. And with Ant-Man, we had a slightly different challenge, which was within our story, the Ant-Man suit is older. The Ant-Man suit is has a bit of a retro design to it because, as we learn over the course of our story, Scott Lang, our Paul Rudd character, steals this suit from the Michael Douglas character Hank Pym. And this was a suit that Hank Pym used for decades, years ago. He used this suit in the 60s and the 70s up to the 80s. So and then he put it away. He hid it away for many years. So it's an older version of this costume, and that was fun too, to be able to do things that looked incredibly heroic, that felt exactly like it was inspired from the pages of the comics, but at the same time fit into that story, and you believed that Michael Douglas was wearing this many years ago. You know, when we cast any of our heroes, the bar is very high now. There are so many amazing actors playing our characters now that whenever a new one comes into the universe, they have to be great. And they have to be great not only leading their own films and carrying their own stories, but also interacting one day with our other actors. So it really is a high bar now whenever we cast people. And to be honest, there was only one choice that we had for Scott Lang, for somebody who could play this petty criminal, who could have the intelligence in committing these crimes that you would understand why Hank Pym would want to recruit him for the heist that he's going to pull, and at the same time stay very likable and be somebody who you root for the whole time. You want him to get back together with his daughter. You want him to be able to redeem himself because he seems like a good guy at heart, even though he has these skills that are best served when he's breaking into places. And Paul Rudd has all of those things. He's got the square jaw, he's got the heroics, we knew he would pull off that suit, and he's got humor, of course, which plays into all of our films, particularly Ant-Man, and he just seems like a good guy behind those eyes, and that you're going to root for him the whole time. So we were very, very lucky when we sent him the script and we talked about the role, and he absolutely wanted to do it right away, and he's awesome. Well, we wanted to, you know, with the role of Hank Pym, it's a role, he's an older man in our film, but he's somebody who had these adventures in the past. And we wanted somebody, we kept saying, let's cast somebody who is an older man, but who you really believe and knew could have done these adventures in the past. And we used to say, if we were making this movie in the 1970s, the 1980s, who would we have cast? We want to believe that this person was Ant-Man in the past, and yet today is a a stoic, aging, heroic figure in his own right who can be the mentor to our new hero. And when Michael Douglas's name came up, we were like, this is perfect. This is perfect because he would have been kick-ass Ant-Man back in the day, and he could still kick ass today. And yet Michael's willing to play a role, and even play a little older than he really is, because he's this dashing, unbelievable movie star still in real life, and we aged him up a bit for it. And knowing that he also has those heroics, has that noble sense about him, the backstory of Hank, where he really sort of put his life aside to protect the world from his own invention, and at the same time has a great sense of humor, because there are sequences in this film where he needs to train Scott Lang, who has essentially no business trying to become a superhero, and Hank Pym has to train him to be able to shrink and grow super fast, to be able to handle his own against the ants, which when you're looking up at a giant ant, it's a whole other experience than when you look down and see them crawling through the sidewalks. And Michael Douglas more than delivered. And he's just got such this iconic presence about him, and his voice, and his entire aura is very impressive. Everybody involved with making this movie knows more about ants now than they ever dreamed possible. And that was because there was just a tremendous amount of research done, because ants are amazing. Frankly, we could make 12 more of these films and still not actually explore everything that ants can do in real life. So there are 4 or 5 species of ants that we introduce in this movie and that we see Scott and Ant-Man interact with. And it's incredible what ants can do. They're really impressive. Peyton Reed, our director, has done a tremendous amount bringing this movie out into the world. Peyton is somebody that I've known for almost 12 years, I think. We almost did a movie together a while ago. He was one of our top choices to do our last new original film, Guardians of the Galaxy. So when he agreed to take on Ant-Man, it was sort of a dream come true for us, because we'd come so close so many times. And he understood this character from the start. He understood this world. And what excited him is you'll never find a bigger fanboy than Peyton Reed.